So let's do the D-pad. There are various principles involved with this. We need something so that you can press and it moves and makes contact with a point, and then something to hold it in position, and of course the part that makes it work. Start with the D-pad. This has been spray painted, varnished, all ready for use. The back of it had 4 holes which I filled in because otherwise it will make the contact less reliable on the tactile switches. Let's just pop it into position for the moment. This is a typical rubber topped tact switch. Has a nice mushy feel when it's pressed. Feels very similar to a normal controller in fact. And on the back of all tactile switches you have the same type of connection. You have 2 pins on opposite sides and they actually connect to each other, those 2 and these 2. Therefore if we cut off 2 on the short side, we only need to wire to the others. We need to secure this to something, and that's where a 2mm thick perspex piece of board comes into play. This one has been cut to size. The 4 little dots that you see here represent the position on the D-pad cross itself, and the holes on the sides here are where the pins from the tactile switch will go through, keeping the tact switch in place, again with a bit of hot glue. Let's just do that, back in just a moment. 3 out of the 4 are done, just so I leave the last one just to show you. A small dab of hot glue, put the tact switch through, turn it round, make sure the point of contact is in the centre, press into place, and it's finished. And there we have 4 points. If we just put it in position for the moment, we can see how it will sit on the system. And now with the assembly in place, what we need to do, I'll put some spacers in each of these 4 positions so that this perspex piece stays precisely in place. It doesn't matter what you use for spacers. I tend just to use little plastic beads, but obviously it could be absolutely anything. And here it is completed. Just use a small amount of hot glue just to keep all the spacers in place. I can easily add a bit more later on once I know everything is okay. To show it working, if we just tilt it up a moment, then you can see when the D-pad is pressed, we're pressing against the contact pad. Turning it across, good time to test each of the 4 positions. Work and feel nice. And so we'll just connect it up to a little circuit, make sure that all the pins work fine, and then add a bit more hot glue down here. Here's a nice easy way to test the circuit works. Just use the 3-volt battery connected to an LED, and rather than soldering wires at this point, just use some little crocodile clips. So to complete the circuit, just turn the lights down. All you need to do is to press the corresponding place and the LED will show. So let's lift it up for a moment so I can do that, and as you see the LED glows. Position these crocodile clips on the other 3 spaces on the 2 pairs of pins, and do the same test, then you know that everything works okay. What I want to do is to salvage this part with the board attached, simply because it's already pre-built, it's designed for the purpose, and it'll fit nice into the portable. Undo all the screws, which then allows you to take the controller apart and get access to the parts. We need to salvage one of these. I'm going to cut up part of this and show you the result. Right, let's assess what we have here. This is the screw post which connects to the back of the controller, so we could in effect utilise this part by screwing down into the section. Alternatively, if you notice over here, the other part is already screwed into the bottom of the case, therefore it makes more sense to utilise this part because then we can solder to the connections and also see much clearer what we've got. This controller is going to get destroyed, so it doesn't matter effectively what happens to this board. You've got the the grounding, the data and the horizontal vertical connections on here, these are the ones that are important, plus the 4 legs that keep it in place. These represent the back of a tact switch, where if you press the back of the joystick like here, you can hear it click. That actually makes another contact point, which you could use in your system if you want to. I'm just going to cut straight along here and then tidy up afterwards. Reason being that I know that the controller will still be holding the joystick in place nicely. It'll then allow me to see what damage is left, and then I'm going to segregate all these pins that I need away from any of the other contacts. And here's the result so far. I've removed the 2 boards. You can clearly now see the joystick and its little attachment in place. What I need to do now is to cut away the plastic around the controller and relieve it of its current position. You can roughly see the cut lines. You could of course be a lot more careful than I've been if you want to retain these sections for something else, but I cut this out reasonably crudely in order to keep that little tab that keeps the board in place. Of course, this leg that keeps the screw in place and the rest of it. We just pull this out now. Now it's been cut away. Just going to give this a quick tidy up, and then we'll sand this piece down at the front, simply because this represents additional height, which of course will go inside the case, so I want to reduce this down by about 1.5 millimeters. I've just put a little coating of red, because that's of course the colour of the case, and just with a CD marker pen for the windows. You'll see why in just a sec. All of the contacts here have been separated just by cutting through them, so I can wire them up as I need to. That's the orientation of the controller board that I was using for the system, and therefore we need to make sure that the orientation of this is exactly the same. So we have the 3 pins at the top, the 3 pins across here. It needs to be mounted in the board in the same way, or for example if you move left it may go up. So next step is to put this into the console. This part we've identified as being upwards, so therefore when this is put into the system it will be installed as such with some hot glue again, and as you see from the reverse side it fits nice and snugly. I am going to paint this black because of course the grey doesn't look quite so good against the contrast, but at least you get the idea of how it's going to work. This piece, which of course is on both sides of the board, is designed to apply pressure to the back of the joystick to make sure that it keeps in place. I've cut this piece out, and this is what I've ended up with. Made a couple of nice big holes so that I've got easy access to the soldering points, because the idea is that now that this is prepared, I'm going to hot glue this piece of plastic onto the bottom piece to keep it very firmly in place. When it's in position, as you see, I'll just hold it for the moment, you can move the joystick about and it retains everything exactly as it should be. Without that, the board has movement and can easily detach, as it's just happened there. So that will now be positioned, and then this unit will be hot glued onto the portable. Haven't screwed it down, but as you see it's all nice and central in the case. If I take this out for the moment, you see the hole that was cut previously is exactly the right size as the 2 holes meet, and because this assembly was reduced in height, that combined with the height of the case makes about what it was previously. If I turn this across, you can get a good idea of the finish. I'm going to make the joystick cap black, and then that part of the assembly will be completed.